Okay, I'm here with Pat and Rob of Shenandoah Studios, the art team behind Gettysburg: The Tide Turns.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I just wanted to sit down with you guys and ask you a couple questions about the game. Are you guys solely on Gettysburg: The Tide Turns, or are you guys also involved in other projects?
Well, I'm art directing. I'm the art director, so I'm working on everything that comes through Shenandoah. Rob's currently 90% on Gettysburg, 90% on LLMA, and whatever current CIC projects we're working on.
Oh, okay, cool. How long have you guys been with Shenandoah Studios?
Pat, go first.
Well, I've been here from the beginning. I was number 3. Studio, so I'm one of the co-founders. So I think it was 2010. Can't remember what month it was. Maybe November 2010, something like that.
And
I started July of last year, so I'm a bit newer.
You're a new guy.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So you've been here for quite for last couple of years. What projects have you been working on?
Well, I started off on Bulge.
Okay.
Well, obviously, when I first started the company, I first had to do the website, the logo, and everything else. And then we went into pre-production of Bulge. Bulge went on for about maybe a year or so, because we had quite a bit of time to actually try and work out the style and the look and everything we're going for. From that, we went on to the iPhone version of Bulge, and then LLMA. And then LLMA got off for a while, so we went to Moscow. And from probably the beginning of Moscow, we've also been working on Gettysburg. So we now finished Moscow. Then we did the Moscow version, the iPhone version of Moscow, and now I'm back on LLMA. Finish fairly soon.
Oh, nice! That's always a good thing to hear. So Pat, you're currently on LLMA, and Rob, you're on
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg. Okay, so you guys kind of you guys are basically the whole design team behind everything Shenandoah Studios is doing.
I don't know if you would say design, because there's definitely some design that's done by from other people, like Nick and Eric design the game rules and some of the things that are actually in the game, like the UI, and we're just at least for me, I'm just the implementation of the graphics. Although we do some design elements ourselves, like mostly the visual aspects of the games that you're going to see are going to be problems that we were given that we have to solve, visual problems. So it's definitely, we're not the whole design of the whole face of the game, but we do the largest portion of it, I guess.
Okay, cool.
Anything you see in the game, we've pretty much done.
Wow, so you guys are behind those amazing detailed maps and.
Pat, you have to for the stuff that's already out there. I can't take credit for it,
but I mean, those maps are incredible. I'll give you that big. Some of the maps I've seen in Drive on Moscow and Battle of the Bulge are just simply incredible. Works of art.
Oh, thank you.
So that kind of solved my other question. I had a question, guys. What kind of designs did you have? And you can just explain that. All right. So one question I wanted to cover was how difficult is it to make these art designs? Is it something that's like, especially like, let's say the map of Battle of the Bulge, take for example, how long did that take to develop? Just not the units, just the map itself.
Battle of the Bulge, we were working on that, as I said, for maybe a year or so. Probably I spent. The map's probably in development for about 6 months, but that's not 6 months total time working on it. That's a lot of backwards and forwards, testing, trying to work out what kind of look we wanted going forward and what techniques to use and stuff like that. The actual final Bulge map itself that you see in game took just under a week to do. But then there's all the pre-production before. And same as Moscow, the 3 Moscow maps are done in just over a weekend.
Oh, wow.
So they were pretty quick. Whereas LLMA took about a week.
Oh, wow.
For some reason, even though there's a lot less in it. Moscow, a lot of the a lot of the work for Moscow, a lot of the questions had already been answered while we were making Bulge, so that Moscow wasn't so bad. Because it's just desert. There's nothing. How do you make a desert look
It's all one
interesting?
color.
Yeah.
What was like the with the Battle of the, if you had to kind of take Drive on Moscow and Battle of the Bulge, which had the most difficult in terms of art direction and art design that you had?
Oh, definitely Bulge. Bulge was starting off with nothing. Moscow used the same trees. I'd already worked out how to do natural landscape and colouring the landscape. The only questions from Moscow to be answered were the trains and how to quickly do all the multiple weathers. And once I solved that, that was very quick. But Bulge was the biggest one. We spent a lot of time doing a lot of research, a lot of testing, seeing what worked on different resolution iPads and what have you. And going over what's already out there, what kind of styles people have used, what techniques. Because I come from a mostly a visual effects background.
Okay.
Quite a few years of games before that, so I come with a different kind of arsenal of skills, which proved quite useful.
That actually brings me to my next question. Where did you guys start out from? How did you guys get inside the company? I mean, how did you guys start with the get you into the art field?
Right. Do you want to start, Pat? Or
Do you want just in Shenandoah studio? Or do you want? How far do you want me to go back?
Oh, I mean, you can start at the beginning if you like, wherever you see fit.
Right. Well, I started off just in regular graphics, doing 2D graphics for magazines, corporate stuff, nothing particularly fancy. And then I lived in Liverpool in the UK, and there's a company there called Psygnosis who were one of the first big PlayStation developers. They did Wipeout and a few other big names. And I went there. I can't remember how I got to do it. I got to work on Lemons 3D, just doing some promo stuff for them. And when I looked around their studio, I thought, this is what I want to be doing. I want to be involved in this. This is really cool. And so I got hold of a 3D modeling program. Left the job I was doing, went to work for university doing some 3D modeling work for them for the biology department, doing kind of medical illustration stuff. And then got a break in a games company in Sheffield, just doing all the intro movies and all cutscenes and stuff for them. I was with them for about a year. We had one game released, and then I moved up to Acclaim in Teesside and we worked on Shadow Man. I was there for 2 years. From Shadow Man, I moved down back to Sheffield, worked for Pixelogic, Particle Systems, sorry. We were working on PlayStation 2 game there. With them for about 4 or 5 years. Really enjoyed, absolutely loved working for Particle. They were great. Unfortunately, we kind of closed up. Freelance for a while, and then I got into visual effects. A lot of the guys from Particle started their own visual effects company, did kind of a few music videos, TV adverts, game intros, whatever. I did a bit of freelance work for them, and then they took me on. I was with them for maybe 4 or 5 years. And then they closed eventually, and I was freelancing for a year. And I was just literally sending letters out to different companies trying to get some freelance work. And I sent a letter into Jeff and Eric. I don't even remember where I'd seen their website. And then maybe 3-4 months later, suddenly get this email off them saying, do you want to be art director? So, well, hang on, let me think about it for a while. But basically that was it.
Yeah.
So from then on, I was in Shenandoah. So it was this kind of strange, there was no kind of plan or anything to it. Things just kind of happened, and I just kind of got with the flow most of the time.
That's cool. That's really cool. Rob?
So I had been freelancing for about 5 years before this. Before that, I was still basically in academia. I went to graduate school in Switzerland, and I was freelancing that whole time, doing things for like computer art magazines and different random freelance jobs. And then I started to get more into advertising. I was working with people like Sony and other like big advertising people, but I wasn't really happy doing that, so I started branching out to other things that I like more, like doing book covers and doing card games. And around that time, I was looking for a different sort of clue into the gaming scene, and I went to one of the recruiter places around here, which are absolutely terrible at finding you an actual job. But they were like, "Oh, have you gone to this website? It shows all the video game companies in the country, and then there's also localized ones for your area." So I went and I pretty much found every video game company in Philadelphia, which there aren't that many. And so that's when Shenandoah came on my radar. And then maybe around 6 months later, they put up a ad that they wanted a 2D illustrator. So I applied, and we hit it off. So I got the job.
Cool. That's really cool.
How's it been going?
Wow,
So
awesome.
all the people interviewed, Rob was the only person who really made an effort and did a load of sample work specifically for us.
Oh yeah, that's true. I did sample work. So that's good advice to people who are take your job interview seriously.
Make an effort.
Yeah.
So so if you're
Well, some more advice. Actually, know about the company you're applying
Yeah.
for. And the kind of work we do is you wouldn't believe the number of applications you have where people literally didn't know what the company did.
halfway through an interview, what do you do again?
Yeah.
I guess my last question is, if you're starting out and you want to go into art, is art something that you can learn and develop and become a professional and actually do it as a career, or is this something you're just born with that you're kind of like gifted with?
I think it's a bit of both. I think having a natural talent is obviously extremely useful. A whole load of technical skills can be taught quite easily, I think. I know the arts education is particularly the kind of art education you need for computer games has completely changed from when I started. When I started, there was nothing. You were just on your own. Everyone was teaching themselves. So maybe Rob can probably answer that better now because he's been through more of a formal education.
Actually, I'm self-taught.
But you're self-taught?
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, I'm totally a huge fan of 99 to 1, where it's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. I mean, to me, it's not that you're great at art when you start it. It's that you can be like, okay, I can be bad at art for years while I'm learning to be good at it. Like, it's something that, like, you just have to be, if you're passionate about it, then you can do it. That's your biggest stumbling block, is that you're going to give up, because the famous thing is that it's a marathon, it's not a race. You just have to keep going and going. And the people that win are the people that just keep going and going. And that's basically it. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to leave off right there because that was beautiful. That was awesome. All right. Thanks you guys for coming on, and I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get to see some of your work with Gettysburg and LL Maine. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right, I'm here with the Shenandoah Studios developers, with Craig, Miguel,
out there.
and Craig.
Gray.
Great. I'm sorry.
Just like the color. Yeah. It's all right.
All right. So thanks for joining me, guys. Basically, we're just going to talk about your responsibilities here, like what do you guys do, what you like about your job, stuff like that. I guess my first question is, what do you guys do?
Well, I'm the senior developer here at Shenandoah Studios. For me, my job is to go through and look at all the the projects we're doing. And right now, I'm focused a lot on artificial intelligence. So I go in and while we've all written AI code and worked together on building the systems, it's sort of my responsibility to keep track of the roadmap, where we're going, where we want to be, and make sure that we get somewhere new and cool for everybody.
So you do AI development. Do you guys work on AI too?
Just a little bit. Mostly, so we're kind of on different projects. Craig and Miguel are working more on the CIC stuff, and I'm working more on Gettysburg. So when it comes time to work on the AI, we'll probably bring in Miguel to do most of that stuff. But yeah, we've all touched AI a little bit.
Yeah. Cool. So how long have you guys been working with Shenandoah Studios?
I've actually I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old
I'm,
guy.
I'm the old top. But we've been working for Shenandoah for about 2 years now.
Oh wow, all together?
I'm 9 months,
Mhm.
so
I'm just maybe 4 or 5 since October.
young.
So I'm the young.
Have you guys? I know you said you're working on Gettysburg.
Mhm.
Have you guys worked on other? I'm sure you guys worked on other titles. You guys work on Battle of the Bulge or Drive of Moscow?
We all worked on Driving Moscow together.
Mhm.
I think just Miguel was around for Battle of the Bulge, and now since then, Miguel's working on Desert Fox, also working on Gettysburg a little bit. Gray's working on Gettysburg, and I'm working on Desert Fox.
Desert Fox. No, it's the name.
Yeah, that's a name
We have
change.
all the internal names like going on at the same time. So
Probably had to change a lot of things. Desert Fox. You were telling me you're doing AI. Right
Yes.
now, and what are you guys focusing on? You said you were working a little on AI, but what are like the other aspects?
So the Gettysburg project just started a couple months ago, and there's a lot of sort of fundamental foundation code that needs to be written first. So we have 4 devs working on that now, including our co-ops. So right now, yeah, AI is a little ways down the road. It's just more about getting all the pieces together, getting the main model for the game rules down, loading scenarios, that type of stuff.
Okay.
Kind of more boring stuff. But so most of my job is not only putting down, laying down that code, but also coordinating all the pieces that are coming in now.
yeah, and with Desert Fox, we're just starting getting serious about the AI. We have a nice foundation to build on with the work that we did on Drive on Moscow and the CIC engine in general. But now it's the time to really start tuning and see where it can go now that the rules are where they are and the maps are where they are and all the sort of foundation stuff like Gray was talking about with the game that he's working on is already sort of set, and we can actually start going in and seeing how to play the game in an interesting way.
I got a question. This has always been on my mind. For a game like, let's say, Battle of the Bulge or Drive on Moscow, how many lines of code do we have in a game like that when you guys are at completion?
So Moscow's about 80,000 the last time I did a code check. So,
Nice.
80,000 lines of code.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's not including
not that much.
that's not including like the libraries and things that we've pulled in, some of which we've made adjustments to or whatever. That's like just the rules code.
Mhm.
So
What about Battle of the Bulge? Is it like more or less? Probably less. I think.
a little bit less.
It's hard. It's been a while since we've done the count on Battle of the Bulge. Like if we were to do Battle of the Bulge, like the test of it now would be like way different. We added a lot of
That's true.
the IAPs back a couple, I think maybe about a year ago, and then also a lot of people don't realize this, but the original Battle of the Bulge engine is actually it's the CIC thing. It's the CIC engine. It's vastly changed for Drive on Moscow, where we took a lot of the mistakes that we made and fixed them for Moscow to make it a more solid system, a system we can grow with.
Wow.
So even if we were to do release, say, a next version of Bulge, that would be like a whole different beast. So cool.
Yeah, and the last time I checked Moscow was at our 1.0 launch, so it's probably changed.
Oh, it's just changed a lot since 1.0.
I think you guys came out 2.0.
Yeah, we just came out with 2.0 with the new AI fixes. The 2 new agents actually added a lot of new and interesting complexity. Fortunately, a lot of that stuff we'd built around the 1.0 time, it just wasn't ready yet. Right, it wasn't ready for prime time.
Going to 2.0 for on your Drive of Moscow or Battle of the Bulge, is it like when you release 1.0 and you were saying it's about 80,000 lines of code for Drive of Moscow, going to 2.0, how many more lines of code is that? Is it 5 or is it just a quick?
That's tough. You had a lot to do with the 2.0 release and the AI changes, so you probably...
It was definitely different because a lot of the functions got optimized. So while in some cases I would wonder if it went down a little bit in some cases because there was just some functions that were just way too long and way too just cumbersome, and cutting those down and making the whole system faster. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that a lot of people will never never see. They'll never know that, so the test that we ran in 1.0 that took like 3 or 4 days to get like one move.
Oh wow!
And how we're looking at all these different moves, and as fast as we are, it's really astounding the optimizations and different code paths we've taken since 1.0.
It might only be 5 or 10% of the lines of code changed or added from 1 to 2 though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! Cool. So if someone is beginning to code, are you guys using Objective-C probably, right? Or are you guys using another language?
Yeah, Objective-C for
CIC,
CIC,
yes.
and then using C# for the Gettysburg.
How long did it
franchise.
take you guys to like learn a language to program fluently?
There are many different levels of fluency.
Well, for what I like to tell beginning programmers starting out is that there are a lot of different languages out there, and there's a lot of different ways to do different things. But get solid understanding of the fundamentals of coding. It goes a bit beyond if else and case statements. But even those are very powerful tools. Learn your object-oriented programming, and try to think about not only how you can reuse the code that you're trying to build, but how you can just cut it down so you don't need it anymore. A lot of people get really caught up on code that they've written, and sometimes you just have to throw it out and start new. And that's a really scary thing for I think a lot of programmers.
Good thing about learning how to code though is, I don't know, maybe unlike a complicated instrument or something where you have to go through a bunch of pain until you finally reach a place where it's rewarding. I mean, coding's rewarding all the way through. I mean, for anybody who's thinking about starting it up, definitely encourage it.
I mean, there's been times like I started out doing a lot of Objective-C stuff before I started here at Shenandoah, and then I had to suddenly get ramped up on Objective-C and start building this whole new game in it. And because I was able to build on the knowledge that I had in the past, then I was able to get started in a couple of weeks. I mean, you guys...
Yeah, I think it's a couple of months to learn a new language if you're proficient in several and of the same type. And, it takes a number of years to get the good solid foundations though. But, most undergrads will give you that foundation.
Yeah, I mean, Tim and Travis got up to speed pretty quick too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
How did you guys wind up? Did you guys go through school to learn a language, or did you learn on your own?
Bit of both.
Yeah, I actually been programming since I was 7. I got a TRS-80 color computer back in the day, and instead of watching Saturday morning cartoons, I had it hooked up to my TV, so I'm like typing away basic code.
Wow. So
I've been programming for a long time, just making fun, stupid little games.
Wow, that's pretty cool. All right, let's see. What developing your iOS games, Battle Bowl, Drive Moscow, and Gettysburg. What challenges are you guys facing running into when you're making these games?
The horsepower of the devices, I think, is a bit of a challenge, and that's obviously getting better every year. But it's easy to sort of code for a little while on your MacBook Pro or your iMac and not really think about the stuff that's running behind AI, especially, and then suddenly you run it on an iPad too, and you're like, "Oh, this is not going to work."
Yeah, both these guys got started doing the AI optimization stuff. When they both started, it was Gray had to get in and make the AI use only this new function that we developed to try to make it faster than making just copies and copies of the game. That was slowing it down, and you came up with the great solution for doing the threading.
Yeah,
that was brutal.
So some of the challenges on the Desert Fox game is just the game design. The battle historically of first and second Alamein, by the time you got to that second battle, it was just a crushing victory for the Commonwealth, and making a fun game where both sides have plays. It's been in the studio for a while, and that's the challenge we've had. So we're getting pretty close with that. That's been an ongoing thing. But a lot of the other challenges have already been met with the 2 games we have in the CIC series. That's kind of like the last thing to go on Desert Fox.
Yeah, I say one of the things that was challenging for me is I've always been a solitary developer in the past, where I'd always worked on small teams, and by small teams it was me and some outsourcers. So, but now having two new devs, join up. There was like a lot of fist shaking on both sides, but I love these guys now. And like I think we're a good team. We work well together, so it's pretty cool.
What program do you guys use to code the games? I mean, do you guys use Xcode or
Notepad.
Yeah, real programmers use Vim.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
No.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
So we're using Unity for Gettysburg.
Oh, okay.
And then Xcode for the CIC games.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. And do you guys have any advice for anybody coming on to decide to apply for that independent studio? Like, since you guys are already making some of the top games in the industry, what kind of recommendations or advice you have for?
The thing that I always look for is have you published a game? I mean, now in this market and industry, it's pretty friendly to indie developers. It's not tough to actually get something out there and shipped. And there's a tendency, for me as well, to just sort of get into projects, get really excited about them, work on them for a couple of months, and then get excited about something else. And so to see that drive to actually complete and follow through, that's evident in a release title is a big deal.
When you're starting your own studio and you have a great game idea, a lot of people tend to sort of blow it up and think of all the different ancillary things that it could be. And my advice to new developers, people wanting to start their own studio, think smaller, think compact, think about the thing that you actually want to create, and you make that as tight and as polished as you can make it. Because there's a ton of different things that you could be working on, but try not to focus on the business side of it. Make something that you enjoy, something that's fun for you, and try to make sure that you can limit your ambitions so that way you can actually get things complete.
That's good.
I just want to agree with Gray there. Showing that you've got the interest enough and the kind of follow through enough to get something shipped as a side project is a really great idea, and it both adds your skills, gets you familiar with the different types of programming languages or toolkits, and it's a really great start if you're going to go then work for some other game studio.
Cool, awesome. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
And,
Hey, thank you.
I appreciate it.